Preds fans, let's try to get through this one together. This is Catfish on Ice, episode 280, bringing you another game reaction episode. It was game 6 of the young 2025-26 season, and unfortunately, this game's going to live in the nightmares of Predators fans for a while. This is probably our first nightmare scenario game of the season. I wouldn't even call the 7-4 loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs the night before as a nightmare loss. That was just going up against a superior team, in my opinion. But this one right here, even though most would say the Montreal Canadiens are also a better team than the Nashville Predators on paper, this one right here is what nightmares are made out of if you're a hockey fan. And we are going to break it down. I'm your host, Chad Minton. We are brought to you by DraftKings and the Pick Six, which we will tell you more about here later in this game reaction episode. Hope everyone's had an awesome week, and they're charging right along into their weekends as I record this on a Friday afternoon to react to the Predators' 3-2 overtime loss to the Montreal Canadiens. And if you watch that game from start to finish, it had your heart pounding all game. You saw right then and there on the screen how young and talented and fast and skilled the Montreal Canadiens are. It's a big reason why people have the Canadiens. Some people have them going deep into the playoffs this year because they do have that kind of young talent, and the Predators had a hard time keeping up with them, as you would expect. But again, UC Saros doing those magical things. His outstanding start to the season continues, but he can only play hero ball for so long. And that's what you saw there. He held up as long as he could. There were so many moments in this game when the Canadiens could have basically did a repeat of what the Maple Leafs did the night before. But the Predators just kept grinding away, and they kept finding ways to just be in the right spot defensively. They keep using that collapsing defensive zone, which dissects passing routes, deflects pucks, allows UC Saros to see the puck a lot better so he can make that glove save a lot of times, make those routine saves. You saw that a lot in this game, but it was the zone time that the Nashville Predators could not seem to acquire. It's been a theme all season long, and it continued into this game. And so you see 19 shots on goal for the Predators. I'm going to get this on the screen here so everyone can see the game notes. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit subscribe. We really appreciate that a lot when you hit the subscribe button. Helps keep this podcast going for sure when you guys can do that for us. And also follow us on X at Catfish Ice. You can also follow us on Facebook at Catfish Ice. We love hearing from all the listeners. Don't be shy. Tell us what you're thinking about this team right now, as we are 6 games in and the Predators are 2-1 on the season. And this is a big topic I'm going to talk about in this episode, is you've got points in 5 of 6 games. 2-1. Your one loss is against the Maple. Your one regulate. You're 2-1-2. My apologies. 2-1-2 is your record right now with points in 5 of 6 games. You've only got one regulation loss, and that is against the Maple Leafs, which we can all agree is probably a superior team. Look at that. So there's your game notes on the screen right now I got for you. Predators at Canadiens, game 6 of the regular season for the Preds. Shots on goal, Montreal 30, Nashville 19. Not going to win a lot of hockey games in the National Hockey League in this day and age with only 19 shots on goal. But somehow they should have won this game. Let me break it down for you. I'm going to make you relive this nightmare in your head for a little bit longer here. But, the Predators pretty much had this signed and sealed away in the waning moments of this game when after Nick Perbix, of all people, had a breakaway goal that you would expect to see from a Philip Forsberg type. But no, it was Nick Perbix who scores a breakaway goal, puts the Predators ahead late in the third period. According to Money Puck, the Predators had an 84% chance to bring this home for the 2 points after that Perbix goal at 11, little over 11 minutes into the third period. They just had to hold it together. But you look at that, shots on goal, Montreal 30, Nashville 19. And then you look at the heat of the moment. This is what everyone's talking about here. Jonathan Marchessault has the puck. The net's empty for the Canadiens. There's only like a handful of seconds to clear out. Maybe I think there was maybe 15 seconds left, somewhere around there. Let me pull it up on my phone so I make sure I have the exact timestamp right. But either way, there was not a lot of time to kill. Let's see. I got it right here. 24 seconds. There was 24 seconds left when Jonathan Marchessault gets the puck right coming out of the neutral zone, center ice, but he's got a Canadiens player standing in front of him a little ways away, basically guarding the net, the open net, not right in the crease, but definitely in the pathway. And Jonathan Marchessault makes the split-second decision to go for the kill shot, go for the empty net goal to make it 3-1, all over at that point pretty much, instead of taking a more conservative hindsight approach of killing more time by not going for the empty net goal in case it gets deflected. What ends up happening happens. He could have skated it off into the corner, into the wall, caused a scrum along the boards. That chews up another 10 seconds maybe. Maybe there's not that clear path down the ice for a streaking Montreal Canadiens player, Cole Caulfield, who we all know how incredibly skilled he is. He gets a perfect pass down the ice after Marchessault's shot is blocked, perfectly blocked. And then Cole Caulfield just straight up beats UC Saros. Just straight up beats him. It's a save that we've seen Saros make numerous times, but he can't make it there. And it's really unfortunate because that could have been the perfect storybook ending for how that game went for the Preds if Saros can just make that one save, but he couldn't do it. So the game goes to overtime, and you're already thinking the wins are out of your sails, and that's how I felt going into overtime. But no, the Preds actually had some puck possession in this overtime. They had chances. Forsberg had a chance. Stamkos had a chance. The puck possession was traded back and forth between these two teams, something you don't see a lot in today's overtime. It's the reason why a lot of people don't like the current overtime format, because one team basically plays keep away most of the time and skates around the entire ice, keeps exiting the zone, keeps doing this cycle thing, play keep away. You didn't see that in this overtime. Both teams had their possessions, but to make it even more just perfectly disastrous, if you will, Cole Caulfield scores the game winner in overtime with 3 seconds left in the overtime period. And then you go to a shootout. Who knows what happens there? Shootouts are a crapshoot. You're probably thinking that the Canadiens have the edge in the shootout anyway because they have more skilled guys. But, Saros was playing pretty locked in, so maybe Saros is able to lock in a little bit longer in a shootout scenario, and the Preds can get that extra point in the shootouts. I give maybe a slight edge to the Canadiens in a shootout format, but I think the Preds would have had a decent chance to take home the extra point if they could have gotten it to the shootout. But nope, Caulfield just sticks another dagger into the heart of Preds fans with 3 seconds left in the overtime frame. So there you have it right there. Just crazy stuff there. But going through the Preds Canadiens game notes some more here, as the Preds lose 3-2 in overtime to the Montreal Canadiens. Game 3 of this 4-game Canadian road trip. Power play. Preds finally get their second power play goal of the year. They go 1 for 2 in the game. Steven Stamkos gets his first goal of the season on the power play here. And kind of one of those passes that ends up deflecting. He kind of passes it into the scoring zone looking for a deflection, deflects off Canadiens player. You get a goal there. That's actually the first goal of the game. And then face-offs. Nashville had a good night in the face-off circle. They won 55.3% of the face-offs. So good stuff there, I guess you could say, if you're looking for positives. And then expected goals. Montreal with a 3.67, Nashville at a 3.01. Again, just not good enough in today's NHL to only have 3 expected goals. You got to figure the really good goalies are usually going to finish in the positive and save an extra expected goal every game. So that's why you see Nashville being stuck in this 2 to 3 goal radius for most of this season. Yeah, they scored 4 against Toronto, but I mean, that was in a game that was kind of out of hand already when you add a couple goals. But either way, you're just not going to win a lot of games when you're only managing 3 expected goals in a game, especially when you're facing a good goalie sometimes who can just erase those 3 extra expected goals. You got to have it a lot higher than that. And credit to UC Saros again for doing what he's been doing all year so far, and that's keeping the Predators alive in this game. That's really what's going to take me into the question that I just cannot answer right now. I'll try to. And that is this fool's goal that the Predators have points in 5 of 6 games? They've got 6 points. Took them a lot longer last year to get to the 6-point mark on the standings. They started off 0-5-0. I've said that constantly. But you look at Saros in this game. I'm going to scroll down. Another game where he finishes in the positive and goals saved above expected, 0.67 goals saved above expected. The way that game ended is what really hurt that number. If all these ifs that I keep saying, but if Jonathan Marchessault seals the deal with the empty net goal, or at the very least he runs out the clock, then that 0.67 goals saved above expected would have been a lot higher. And you're talking about just another stellar performance. It still was a stellar performance from UC Saros, but definitely put a damper on things when you see that. But going again here, 30 shots on goal against for Saros that he faces, makes 27 saves, so 90 save percentage. But it's the goal saved above expected that Saros is staying in the positive on all year. So now let's look at Money Puck. Let's look at their updated goalie rankings, which is based on goals saved above expected. And I will get that on the screen now for the YouTube and Facebook viewers now that we've got that off the screen. And let me pull that up. But you're seeing that Saros is right among the best right now. Right among the best. Let me pull it up. Let me get it centered on the screen. So this is on moneypuck.com. These are the top goalies based on goals saved above expected, which is my most important stat when you're grading a goalie, because this is grading all the chances they're facing and how much they are keeping their team in the game is when you see that. So you look at right now, number 1, off to a really big lead already in the league among goalies is Igor Shesterkin, having a bounce back here, just like Saros is looking to do. So Shesterkin's already had an 8.1 goal saved above expected. Thatcher Demko, familiar face, is second on the list, tied with Scott Wedgwood. More salt in the wound for Predators fans. Scott Wedgwood, the guy that was on this team last year, was part of the free agency haul that involved Marchessault and Stamkos and Shea. Not talked about as much in that haul, but he was in there. But he is actually tied with Demko for second on this list with 5.2 expected goals saved above expected this year. So look at that. Watch out for the Avalanche if Wedgwood keeps this up, because we already know the Avalanche have a bunch of assassins on their team. If they get stellar goaltending like that, Vezina caliber goaltending from Scott Wedgwood of all people, we might as well not even play the Stanley Cup playoffs this year, because they're already my Stanley Cup pick. We already made our predictions. But wow, I feel even more confident in the Avalanche pick that I made if Scott Wedgwood keeps this up. I tend to think that he's going to reverse back to his normal self, which isn't a bad goalie, but I don't know if he can keep this kind of stuff up. And then you got Vejmelka for the Mammoth, who we've already seen this year. He's at a 5.1 goal saved above expected, and there's Saros tied up with Vejmelka at 5.1 goals saved above expected in 4 games played already. You're seeing a lot of goalies haven't even hit 4 games played yet all year. Shesterkin's at 5 games, but all these other guys have only – Demko's only got 3 games so far. Vejmelka's only got 3 games. So, yeah, Saros is competing among the best right now in that category. So I will continue to track that for the entire year. because last year Saros plummeted down that list. He was not even in the same universe as this area of the list. So very uncharacteristic of him. So it's, I'm looking for silver linings here after a night like last night. And I mean, you'd have to be blind to not see UC Saros as a major silver lining right now. Let's get the game notes back on the screen, though. Yeah, so let's talk about Steven Stamkos. Man, he is really taking a lot of strays from Preds fans right now. And he has been very, very unimpactful. Is that a word? Unimpactful. He's not been impactful. Let's put it that way. And it's tough to see. They're doing everything they can to find a spot for him. Brady Martin has been a healthy scratch 3 games in a row. That's got a lot of Preds fans upset right now. But they've been trying Stamkos to get him going desperately in this early going of the season, and so they've been putting him on the top line. They've been trying to get him more activated and more involved in this offense. I mean, Stamkos has to shoot the puck more right now, and he's just not doing that. And we already know his 5-on-5 play is very limited at this point in his career. And you need him to just really shoot the puck and shoot it at a very high volume. And he's just not doing that. It is nice that he gets that power play goal. Maybe that can get the monkey off his back a little bit, even though it wasn't like a straight shot. It was more of a pass shot. Hey, you'll take him any way you can get him right now. And, he's missed a lot of opportunities this season so far to have much more than one goal. But you saw he's lining up on the right wing with O'Reilly and Forsberg right now that Brady Martin has not been in playing. And we got to wait and see when Brady Martin's going to get another chance. And I tend to lean towards the practices and the things he's getting, the reps he's getting just by being up here is still very valuable. That stuff fans just don't see. But it is vital. Now, I would think that Brady Martin's going to get back into the lineup in the next game. I really do. 3 games in a row of sitting, all these practices, getting to absorb the stuff on the NHL level. That's all great and good. But I think after a while, you don't want him to sit for too long. So I think 3 games is enough. Let's see how he looks on the road against a division opponent. I mean, you started him out of training camp for a reason. You don't want him sitting on the bench for too long. So there's this like healthy balance of, let's give him practice. Let's not crush his confidence, but let's also make sure he's not sitting for too long. I mean, you want him playing live game action hockey no matter where it's at. So I think he gets back in the lineup against Winnipeg. I personally do. But we'll see. They might sit him again. There's no rush to get him to those 9 games, and I understand that point of it as well. If you rush him too much into that 9-game limit, then he's gone for the rest of the year. Then you can't call him back up. He can't go to Milwaukee because he's 18 years old. So he goes back to junior hockey, which many would agree he's probably way better than junior hockey at this point. He's just stuck in this weird area where he can't go to Milwaukee, so he's stuck either here or there, and that's a tough position to be in when you're 18 and as talented as he is. But I also don't want him sitting on the bench for too long. I want to see him back in there. So I think Winnipeg will be a good test for him. To you want to test the guy. I know you don't want to crush his confidence, but you also want to test him. So it's that delicate fine line you're trying to walk right now. I think seeing how he does on the road against Winnipeg would be an interesting test for him. We have not seen Brady Martin on the road yet. They've benched him. Bench sounds like such a harsh word. They didn't bench him because he's playing poorly or anything like that. But they're resting him. They're protecting him, whatever you want to call it. They've kept him away from the road games in Canada so far. I would like to see him get a shot against Winnipeg. I really would. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, going back to Stamkos, he's playing with O'Reilly and Forsberg. You look at what the lineup looked like going into this game against Montreal. Your second line was also kept together, but they were moved up. They were still the same line, but they were moved up, and that was Marchessault, Haula, and Bunting, which has been a very productive line. And I thought they were pretty decent in this game as well. They didn't get any points on the score sheet, really, but they make things happen. That are they the prototypical second line in the NHL? No, not at all. But you're kind of stuck with what you have right now. And then they went with their bottom six of Tyson Jost, Fedor Shvechkov, and Luke Evangelista. And then your bottom line, your fourth line, which Ozzy Weisblatt's really impressed me. I think that he is playing at a very high level for where you would expect him to be. He's a forechecking menace. He gets in the boards. He looks like a quality NHL player already, especially for the role they're asking him to play on the fourth line. I don't see any reason why he's not in this lineup for the entire season unless his play just drastically tanks out of nowhere. He is playing the fourth line perfectly with Cole Smith and Michael McCarron. So no issues or qualms with that fourth line whatsoever. And then your defensive pairings have pretty much stayed consistent. Willsby, Yossi continue to play on the top pairing. Shea and Perbix with back-to-back games with a goal. Perbix is another early standout, looking really good, playing well in the penalty kill, being that smart, wise defenseman who knows where to be at the right time. Very happy with what I'm seeing from Nick Perbix. Great acquisition so far from the Tampa Bay Lightning. And then Stastny and Justin Barron, Spencer Stastny, Justin Barron played on your bottom pairing. Still haven't seen Nick Blankenburg put in the picture yet. So that's a little interesting. And then Saros got the start. So, yeah, that was your lineup against the Montreal Canadiens. And, you know, I mean, you're just trying to piece things together right now. No Joakim Kimmel. He has been reassigned back to the Milwaukee Admirals. So that is something that I think people are a little upset about maybe. But, God, my box is going all over the place here. My layouts. There you go. But, yeah, he is all over the place right now. And I think we'll see Joakim Kimmel back up in the lineup soon enough. I think he needs some. It's not going to hurt him to get some more time in Milwaukee. It's really not. I mean, you don't want Joakim Kimmel is in a spot in his career where it doesn't hurt him to get more time in Milwaukee, really build that confidence up. I would love to see him up here, but right now, this early in the season, I think Andrew Brunette is really trying to grind away some points, get some wins, see if these veterans can just play much better than what they were capable of last year, and see how long they can stretch this out. And right now, you got points in 5 or 6 games. You have UC Saros mainly to think of that. You also have your penalty kill to thank for that. The penalty kill continues to be rock solid. And it's another reason why the Predators are hanging around in these games, even though the offensive pressure is not there. So that part of it is also something to really pay attention to. Let me tell you really quick about DraftKings and the Pick 6 app. Football is back, and so is your shot at big wins with DraftKings Pick 6, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Your game day instincts can score you real money fast. Here's the play. Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats from breakout rookies to elite quarterbacks and unlock the upside every snap brings. The better your calls, the bigger your payouts. And so I'm going to get the DraftKings app up. We're on a Friday, so we'll look at Sunday's NFL games on Pick 6 and see what they are offering. It's super easy when you get on DraftKings. There's a Pick 6 tab that you click on, and then you pick your sport. So I'll hit NFL. That's the offer we got right now. And let's just go with what they're giving us right at the top here. Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be at the Minnesota Vikings. I almost said the Minnesota Wild there. And you can go 0.5 or more. You can hit more on 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns. Pretty easy pick there, I think. Jalen Hurts. You can go 0.5 more on rushing and receiving touchdowns. Another easy one, Jalen Hurts is always running the football. He's one of the biggest running quarterbacks out there. So that's a good one. Let's go down to the other side of the coin there in that matchup. The wide receiver Justin Jefferson, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. You can go 0.5 more on rushing and receiving touchdowns. Not a lot of gambles there. You can go also on Justin Jefferson, more or less on 80.5 receiving yards. Eagles got a pretty good secondary, so that's a tough call there. But I would go more if it was me. But anyway, you get the picture on the Pick Six app. That's how it works. You go more or less. They give you these player props, and it's a lot of fun. And here's the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. This season, play your player instincts. Download the DraftKings Pick Six app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN. Play just $5. Get $50 in Pick Six bonus picks. Make the call. Ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick Six. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick Six not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick Six bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at picksix.draftkings.com/promos. Go check it out with Pick Six and DraftKings. Let's move along here and talk more about whether I think that this is fool's gold to be off to a 2-1-2 start. So you got points in 5 and 6 games. Your wins are against Columbus, which is, pretty good young team, fast team. I wouldn't put them on the level of some of these other teams we've played on the road trip, but still a team that's kind of on the playoff bubble in the Eastern Conference. They win that game at home to open the season. And then they beat Ottawa on the road. That was probably, out of the two, that one was more impressive to me because it was on the road. Again, UC Saros just playing on it, just standing on his head, playing tremendous hockey. So those are your two games that you've won, and then you've gone to overtime. You should have let's say it one more time. You should have won, coulda, shoulda, woulda, had the Montreal Canadiens as your third regulation win of the year, if not for an epic choke job and meltdown late in that game. Also, one more thing, it's not just on Marchessault there. That's a collective bad sequence by the entire team. Where's the defense? How do you let Caulfield get up the ice that far? I've seen it was a bad line change, a lazy line change in that moment. Were they resting on their laurels, or they were thinking this was sealed because they saw their teammate Marchessault right there to hit the game-winning goal or hit the game-sealing goal, so they rested a little bit. They never thought in 1,000 years that would happen. Well, it did. And then I'll put a little bit on Saros as well, even though I'm always protecting the guy. I'll put a little bit on Saros there that he could not step up and make that save. He was stunned. He was stunned. I don't even think he was expecting to be in that moment. And then, bam! Of all people, you got Cole Caulfield skating up on you. I mean, let's give him a little bit of grace here. He was the only reason we were in that moment. But you would have liked Saros to make that save. It would have been perfect storybook ending. But you got an overtime loss there. Your only regulation loss is against a really good Toronto Maple Leafs team. They kind of ran into a buzzsaw there, and they did fight hard. They came back and tied it at 2 in that game. So, and that was your first start of the year for Justus Onanen, your backup, and he didn't look particularly sharp either. So that. Is this fool's gold? It's really hard to say. I think I would lean towards it kind of is, because I don't know how much longer Saros is going. Can he keep this up for an entire season where he's probably going to start definitely over 60 games? I mean, it would be one of the greatest seasons by a goalie in Nashville Predators history, ranked up there to some of Pekarine's best years ever, if Saros can do that. And if he does, then this isn't fool's gold. I think the Predators might even sneak into the playoffs if Saros can be that reason why. And I said that over the offseason. In fact, these first 6 games have not doing this to pat myself on the back here. I'm just being honest. I said there were 2 things that the Predators are going to have to do really well to make this season a true bounce back year where they get back in the playoffs. And that is much better structured defense that makes UC Saros' life a lot easier. And that has, for the most part, happened. I think UC Saros has also stood on his head and played really well and stepped up and made the clutch saves. Other than that one against Caulfield, he's made most of the clutch saves that you need him to make that he didn't make on a regular basis like you would have liked him to do last year. So we're seeing that, but we're also seeing him get a lot of easier saves to make thanks to a Preds defense, thanks to guys like Nick Perbix. I think Brady Shea's played a little bit better this year. Still not playing at the level of a $7 million a year player. Don't get me started there, but he is playing better, I think. I think Yossi has played pretty good in the defensive zone as well. I like what Adam Wilsby's doing. I even watched Stastny pretty closely last night, and I liked what Stastny was doing. I like what these guys are doing as a unit. I don't think you need to mess with it too much. I would like to see Nick Blankenburg get a chance. Nick Blankenburg can bring you some offense that I think better than Justin Barron maybe. So I would like to see Nick Blankenburg get in there as well against Winnipeg, make his season debut. I would shift Barron out and put Blankenburg in. That's what I would do. I think Blankenburg deserves a chance to start. But anyway, so those are the two things that are happening right now that are allowing the Predators to scratch and claw their way to get a couple wins and get a couple overtime losses. They're not leaving empty-handed in games. They're at least leaving with a point to kind of keep them alive. Way different than last year when they were 0-5-0 and could never dig their way out of it. So at least they're not buried so early in the season like they were last year. But is this fool's gold? It very well could be if this offensive trend continues where they're only managing 2 goals a game and they're only managing 2 or 3 goals a game. And when they do score more than 2 or 3 goals a game, it's coming up late in a game. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I mean, in the Ottawa game, they scored 4, but they had 2 empty netters. So it's very misleading. They've got one game where they've scored more than 2 goals, and it was the Toronto game. It was the Toronto game, and that was late in the game when they were just trying to frantically come back. You still give them credit for it, but I'm just saying, like, they're pretty much stuck on that 2-goal mark right now in regulation, and it's really hurting them. And it's kind of making you skate on thin ice, no pun intended, because I don't know if you can expect this out of Saros every night. And those losses will start piling up if you cannot start putting much more offensive zone pressure on opposing goaltenders, especially when you start playing some of these more elite goaltenders. We're about to see, most likely, I would think we're going to see Connor Hellebuck on Saturday. I mean, you think you're going to get away with 3 expected goals and win the game against the Winnipeg Jets? Probably not. I mean, that's not going to happen. You're staring right down the barrel of a 1 or 2 goal game again, and another UC Saros miracle for you to hang in that game. So you're just really living on borrowed time, I think, right now. And let's feel fortunate that they're still in it and they haven't dug themselves deep. Let's be pleased that they've got points in 5 of 6 games. That sounds really good when you say it that way, but if you actually watch the games, you got to realize we are very much living on borrowed time, and a 5-game losing streak could easily happen if you don't get this offense cooking in a more efficient manner. You can't be relying on goal. No offense to Nick Perbix, but you can't be relying on a Nick Perbix to score a goal like that. I'm sorry, but you can't. You can't rely on your power play only having 2 power play goals through the first 6 games. That's what I'm saying. You're very fortunate to be in this position you're in right now. As unlucky as we feel right now after that debacle and choke job that we just witnessed last night against the Canadiens, we are very fortunate to be where we're at right now at 2-1-2 on the standings. Very fortunate. I am feeling very lucky, actually. I'm counting my blessings that we've got 6 points in the first 6 games of the season. I mean, or first 5 games. I'm sorry, not 6. I'm feeling very fortunate that they're where they're at. So Winnipeg's going to be a tough test, though. I mean, we know how good Winnipeg is. That has the potential to turn out just like the Toronto game if, it could get out of hand fast. So we will see what happens. It's still very early in the season, so we don't want to get too up or too down. You got to stay even keeled right now. You can't get overly emotional this early in the season. A lot can change. A lot can go one way or the other. A lot of teams are still figuring out who they are. And I think the Predators are, for the most part, are figuring out that they've still got a lot of problems to address, but they should be very, very fortunate that they are where they're at. Steven Stamkos has got to really step up his game if he's going to keep playing top line minutes. Forsberg, I didn't like what I saw out of Forsberg last night. I'm going to be honest, I didn't. He was not nearly as present as he needed to be in that game last night. Forsberg's supposed to be your franchise player, other than Saros, and he was just not noticeable enough at all in that game last night. So he's another guy that I need to really get on a hot streak, wake up this offense so we can start scoring 3, 4, 5 goals a game. And it's not all on Saros to just, do what he's already done already. And if he can keep playing the way he's playing, well, that's just going to put us in an even better position to actually have a pretty special season. But a lot's got to line up. So that is my game reaction episode of the 3-2 overtime loss to the Canadiens. That is where we're at with it. And you get the Winnipeg Jets up next to finish up the Canadian road trip, the 4-game Canadian road trip. I said going into it, if they can win 2 of 4, so if they can somehow beat Winnipeg, which I would call that definitely an upset, that would give them points in 3 of the 4 road games. And that would also give them 2 wins out of 4 games. And should have been 3 wins if you count the Canadiens' choke job. So they're finding ways to hang around in games. So let's see how this continues. But it's probably fool's gold, if you ask me, if they can't correct a lot of these things that I'm seeing that definitely showed up last night. They've been showing up every game despite them either winning or getting an overtime point. So that's where I'm at with it. This has been Chad Mint, your host. Thank you for joining this game reaction episode of the Jets, of the Canadiens and the Predators, with the Jets up next, I should say. So until then, we will see you soon. This has been episode 280 of Catfish and Ice, presented by Pick 6. Hit subscribe below and follow us on social media at Catfish Ice, and we'll see you soon.